Battle Rider Rayzor S2. Episode 14, Zero Returns. The air above Coral Cove shimmered, not with the usual heat haze but something wrong. On the precipice of a skyscraper, sleek black and white armor coalesced from crackling energy. Battle Rider Rayzor Zero stood, silhouetted against the dawn, the sophisticated lines of the Mark II suit gleaming faintly. His visor, usually a cold, focused gaze, seemed to sweep over the city below with a mixture of awe and disbelief. It was intact. The buildings stood tall, the streets bustled with early morning life, and the ocean sparkled under the rising sun. A stark contrast to the ash-choked ruins, the monstrous structures, and the terrified husks of humanity that haunted his memories of Coral Cove. He felt a strange, alien hope, bloom briefly in his chest before being quickly suppressed. There was no time for sentimentality. He needed to confirm. He raised a gauntleted hand, fingers splayed, and a low-frequency scan pulsed outward, seeking specific energy signatures: the chrono buckle, the vortex band, the arc blaster, the evo changer. And crucially, the faint, familiar hum of the Special Missions Department's hidden base. The city was different, better, but were they still here? Miles away, beneath the city's surface, nestled within the fortified walls of the Special Missions Department's garage, Steve Adams hummed a jaunty, slightly off-key tune as he meticulously polished the chrome plating on his battle cycle. Tools lay scattered around him: wrenches, diagnostic pads, spare parts for the bike's energy core. The early morning light filtering through the reinforced windows caught the gleam of his red-armored Battle Rider drive helmet sitting nearby. Finishing a particularly stubborn smudge, he leaned back, admiring his handiwork. "Almost there, beauty," he murmured to the bike, patting its sleek frame. "Just a few more tweaks and you'll be ready to break the sound barrier. Or, chase giant monsters." Life as a battle rider wasn't exactly what he'd imagined when he was tearing up the amateur racing circuit, but the adrenaline rush, yeah, that was still there. And more importantly, the stakes were real. Meanwhile, across town, nestled between a bustling bakery and a flower shop, Matt Jennings, crisp in his police uniform, carried a box of freshly baked donuts, a peace offering for the precinct morning briefing. Beside him, Eddie Hayes, looking sharp in his SMD commander attire, juggled a stack of official-looking folders. They were catching up, reminiscing about their police academy days before Eddie had been handpicked for the more secretive Special Missions Department. "Still can't believe you ended up in SMD, man," Matt chuckled, adjusting the box. "Thought you were destined for traffic duty." "Hey, someone's gotta handle the special cases," Eddie grinned, tapping his folders. "Besides, you're not exactly pounding a regular beat these days either. Are you, Officer Jennings? I heard you've been pulling some late nights." Matt's smile tightened slightly. Their late nights often involved grappling with threats straight out of a nightmare, fueled by the power harnessed in their Battle Rider gear. "Yeah, well, Coral Cove keeps us busy." Suddenly, a low growl rumbled through the street, followed by a shriek that wasn't human. A few blocks down, shoppers pointed and screamed, scattering like startled birds. Towering over a collapsed fruit stand was a creature straight from a botanical horror show, a mass of tangled vines, razor-sharp leaves, and a single, pulsating plant-like eye. It thrashed blindly, uprooting pavement. "Speak of the devil," Matt muttered, his hand instinctively going to the small, holster-like attachment on his belt, the arc blaster. Eddie's hand went to the sleek, handheld device in his pocket, the evo changer. "Plant demon?" Eddie asked, voice dropping into ready assessment mode. "Looks like it," Matt confirmed, pushing the donut box into Eddie's arms. "Go, get somewhere safe. I'll handle this." "Handle it, Matt? What are you talking about? We handle this," Eddie retorted, already pulling out the evo changer. "Time for work." Matt knew he was right. This wasn't a job for uniformed police. It was a job for the riders. "All right, let's move," Matt yelled, tucking the arc blaster securely into his belt. "Eddie, get Zara on the line. Tell her we've got a botanical nightmare on our hands." They broke into a sprint, weaving through the panicked crowd towards the monster. "Hey, ugly," Matt shouted, drawing the plant demon's attention. "Police, stand down," or whatever the plant equivalent is. The creature roared, a sound like tearing roots. Then from the shadows of alleys figures emerged hellbound, their forms twisted and demonic, armed with crude, crackling energy weapons. "All great," Eddie sighed, pulling out his gear. "They called for backup," Matt said grimly, leveling his arc blaster. "Time to go blue." With a press of a button, the arc blaster glowed with blue energy. "Let's do this, Velocity." "Right behind you, Siren," Eddie replied, activating his Evo changer. "Time to tune into Velocity." "Battle Rider Siren, emergency," Matt declared, raising and firing the arc blaster. A cascade of blue energy engulfed him, solidifying into the sleek blue armored suit, complete with the distinctive siren-like visor. "Battle Rider Velocity, start up," Eddie shouted, holding up the Evo changer. Crimson and white energy wrapped around him, forming the agile Battle Rider Velocity armor. They charged. Siren's arc blaster pulsed with powerful blue blasts, keeping the plant demon at bay while Velocity, nimble and fast, weaved through the hellbound ranks, striking with precise, rapid-fire energy punches from his gauntlets. "Clear the hellbound," Siren yelled, dodging a whip-like vine. "Velocity, watch your flank." They worked in tandem, a practiced dance of close-quarters combat and ranged attacks. The hellbound fell one by one, dissolving into dark energy. But the plant demon was relentless. It lashed out with vines and fired explosive seeds from its core. "Almost got the last one," Velocity reported, taking down a winged hellbound. Suddenly, the plant demon recoiled, then unleashed a volley of seeds directly at the two riders. Before they could react, the seeds exploded upon impact with the ground, instantly sprouting thick, thorny vines that wrapped around Siren and Velocity, pinning their arms and legs. "Ah, thorny little things," Siren grunted, struggling. "Can't move," Velocity added, his suit straining against the organic restraints. The remaining hellbound advanced, weapons aimed. It was a trap. Just as the hellbound were about to fire, a low roar echoed from above. A red blur descended from the sky, Battle Rider Drive. "Looks like you boys got tangled up." Steve's voice crackled over the comms, full of his characteristic confidence. With a swipe of an energy blade deployed from his wrist, he sliced through the tough vines binding Siren and Velocity. "Steve, thanks," Siren started, but was cut off by the plant demon's renewed assault. Then a streak of silver energy descended like a comet. Battle Rider Rayzor, Liam Walker, landed with a powerful impact, delivering a devastating flying kick directly to the plant demon's central core. The creature shrieked in pain and staggered backwards. "Rayzor, Drive, you guys made it," Velocity exclaimed, rubbing his wrists where the vines had been. The four battle riders regrouped, standing shoulder to shoulder, Rayzor in silver, Drive in red, Siren in blue, and Velocity in crimson and white. The plant demon, injured but not defeated, roared its fury. It slammed its vine-like fists onto the ground, summoning another wave of hellbound. Simultaneously, more thick vines erupted from the pavement, snaking towards the riders. "Incoming," Rayzor warned. "Looks like round two," Drive said, activating his vortex band. The vines wrapped around them, tighter this time, while the new hellbound opened fire. Energy blasts ricocheted off their armor, but the restraints held them fast. "Can't break free," Siren strained. "They're pinning us down," Velocity grunted. Just as despair began to creep in, a blinding streak of black and white light erupted from the sky, faster than any of them had ever seen. It wasn't a flash, but a moving entity, tearing through the air like a whip. It slammed into the hellbound surrounding the trapped riders, each strike obliterating the demons instantly. With impossible speed, it then slashed through the vines, freeing the four riders just as easily as Drive had done moments before. The black and white blur landed precisely between the riders and the reeling plant demon. It stood tall, utterly still, the familiar yet alien sight of the Rayzor Zero armor, the Mark II version. The air around it crackled with raw, barely contained power. The riders stared, stunned into silence. Rayzor Zero, the prototype, the armor Jason King had died in, the armor Zara had locked away, but Zara was back at SMD. Jason was gone. The plant demon, seeing its opportunity, let out a guttural shriek and lurched forward, intent on crushing the black and white figure. It raised its thorny limbs, ready to strike. Rayzor Zero didn't flinch. With a movement too fast to follow, the figure spun, delivering a precise, devastating roundhouse kick to the plant demon's core. There was no struggle, no protracted fight, just a single, impossibly powerful blow. The plant demon exploded into a shower of green pulp and dark energy fragments, dissolving into nothingness. Silence descended, broken only by the distant sirens of regular police responding to the initial disturbance. The four battle riders stood rooted to the spot, staring at the back of the Rayzor Zero armor. It wasn't possible. Slowly, Liam Walker, Rayzor, deactivated his armor, the silver plates retracting and dissolving into light, leaving him standing in his civilian clothes. He took a step forward, his eyes fixed on the back of the black and white suit. Steve, Matt, and Eddie likewise deactivated their armor, their expressions mirroring Liam's shock and confusion. Rayzor Zero, Liam murmured, his voice low. But how? He took another step. Who are you? The figure in the Rayzor Zero armor turned slowly to face them. The visor was opaque, hiding any expression but the posture. It wasn't the grief-stricken stance Zara sometimes adopted when talking about Jason, nor was it the casual confidence of Steve, Matt, or Eddie. It was something else entirely, weary, determined, ancient. "I need your help," a voice distorted by the helmet but undeniably human finally responded. The voice was unfamiliar. "I'll explain. Back at SMD." Off the turbulent shores of Coral Cove, nestled within the caldera of a dormant volcano, lay the twisted, infernal domain of Demon Lord Vedes. Red magma snaked through jagged rock, casting an infernal glow on grotesque architecture wrought from bone and shadow. In a cavernous throne room, ancient runes glowed ominously as Vedes himself, a colossal dragon demon wreathed in dark power, stirred from a small slumber. His massive draconic eyes, usually burning with malevolent fire, narrowed. "What troubles you, my lord?" A voice like rustling leaves and dried blood spoke from the shadows. Vespera, the bat demon courier and spy, flitted forward, her leathery wings silent. Vedes rumbled, a sound like distant thunder. A disturbance, Vespera, a ripple, in the fabric of time and space itself, like a stone dropped into a still pond, but the pond is existence. He focused his gaze, peering through dimensions with his inherent dark power. The ripple originated here, in this timeline, in Coral Cove, and it felt familiar. Something has arrived that defies the natural order of things. He slammed a clawed fist onto his throne, cracking the obsidian. This cannot stand, not with the obstacles that currently exist here. He meant the battle riders. They had been a persistent thorn in his side, delaying his plans for millennia. We must ascertain the nature of this intrusion, find its source, Vespera. Another figure emerged from the deeper shadows, silent and deadly, Shadamaru, the ninja demon. His dark form seemed to absorb the light. "Shadamaru," Vedes commanded, his voice a low snarl. "Investigate this temporal anomaly, discreetly. Find out what has come here and why. And if it poses a threat to our eventual dominion, eliminate it." Shadamaru simply bowed his head, a gesture as silent as his movement. In the next instant, his form dissolved into a wisp of shadow, vanishing from the throne room. Back at the Special Missions Department, the atmosphere was a mixture of tense curiosity and heightened security. The Rayzor Zero armor stood in the center of the main briefing room, surrounded by the riders, Zara King and Erica Long, the lead SMD lab technician and Eddie's close friend. Erica had already run preliminary scans, coming up with conflicting and impossible readings. "All right," Zara said, her voice careful and controlled, though her eyes were wide with questions as she looked at the impossible suit. "You said you need our help. You arrived in that armor, the Rayzor Zero Mark II. How and who are you?" The figure in the armor remained still for a moment. "My identity is not important now. Revealing it could be dangerous for all of us." "Not important," Liam interjected, stepping forward. "You show up in my predecessor's armor, the armor that killed Zara's brother, an armor we thought was lost forever, and you save us from a monster we were handling just fine. Then you say who you are isn't important. We need answers." "You weren't handling it just fine, Rayzor," the armored figure stated, the voice flat. "The vines would have held. The hellbound would have finished you, but that is irrelevant. What matters is what is coming." He paused as if gathering his thoughts. "I have come from the future, a future where your battle against Vedes ends in failure." A collective gasp went around the table. "Failure?" Steve scoffed. "Come on, we're the battle riders, we always—" "Not in my time," Rayzor Zero interrupted, the finality in his voice chilling. "In my time, one day, all four of you vanished, just gone, without a trace. No signal, no last stand, nothing. One moment you were fighting the Hellbound alongside Zara and the rest of SMD. The next, you simply weren't there." He looked around the room, the opaque visor somehow conveying the weight of his words. With the battle riders gone, Coral Cove was left defenseless. Vedes saw his chance. He swept in with his full force. The city, the world, fell quickly. The resistance was fragmented, desperate. What you saw today, an intact city, people living freely. That's a distant memory for me. My Coral Cove is a husk, and I believe your disappearance was the key event that allowed him to win." Zara leaned forward, her technical mind racing. "Vanished? How? A dimensional warp? A temporal anomaly? Was there a specific attack?" "I don't know," Rayzor Zero admitted, the first hint of frustration in his tone. "That's the unsettling part. There was no warning. One moment you were there fighting. The next, the enemy forces were suddenly unopposed in specific locations. We retrospective analysts could never pinpoint the cause. It was as if reality just edited you out." Liam felt a knot forming in his stomach. Edited out. The thought was horrifying. Zara then focused on the armor. "And this suit, the original Rayzor Zero, was heavily damaged when Rider Ops was destroyed years ago. It was deemed too unstable, too dangerous. I salvaged what I could and locked it away. This Mark II, it's far more advanced than anything I created or recovered from the original schematics." "Where did you get it?" "From the ruins," Rayzor Zero replied. "After the fall, after everything was lost, I returned to the site of Rider Ops. The original armor lay there, buried but not completely destroyed. I salvaged it, yes, but I didn't just repair it. Over the years, working in secret with limited resources, I rebuilt it, upgraded it. This armor incorporates technology from a future where survival requires constant adaptation. It's better, stronger, more stable than the original prototype ever was." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "I came back, hopping to find the point where things went wrong, to stop your disappearance, to prevent Vedes's victory." Before anyone could process this influx of information, a shrill alarm blared through the SMD base. Red emergency lights flashed. "What is it?" Zara snapped, turning to the main monitor. A live feed appeared on screen, showing a figure standing aggressively in the middle of a downtown intersection. It was a samurai demon, clad in dark, ornate armor, holding a glowing energy katana. It stood perfectly still for a moment, then intentionally slammed the butt of its sword onto the pavement with a deafening thud that echoed even through the monitor speakers. The action was clearly meant to cause maximum disturbance and attract attention. "Samurai demon," Erica stated, running diagnostics. "Unknown origin, highly aggressive energy signature. He appears to be waiting." "Waiting?" Matt echoed, already moving towards the armory bay. "It's trying to draw us out," Eddie finished, following his friend. Liam looked from the monitor to the silent figure in the Rayzor Zero armor. The future was coming for them, but the present still needed heroes. "All right," Liam said, his voice firm, the uncertainty from moments ago replaced by familiar resolve. "Looks like our talk is going to have to wait. They're challenging us directly." He turned back to the monitor, then over his shoulder to the others. "Time to suit up." He started towards the armory, then paused, looking back at Rayzor Zero. "Stay here. We need to debrief properly, but right now, that thing out there is a clear and present danger. We'll finish this conversation when we get back." Rayzor Zero gave no verbal response, but a slight nod of the helmet indicated understanding. He remained a silent sentinel in the briefing room as the four battle riders, their minds reeling with questions about the future, rushed to face the threat in the present. Unbeknownst to any of them perched on a different rooftop overlooking the city, a figure materialized from a ripple in the air. They were cloaked and hooded, obscuring any identifying features. In one hand they held a staff, slender and antique, topped with a small, functional clock face and intricate golden filigree. The clock's hand spun erratically for a moment, then stopped, pointing at a specific time. The figure raised the staff, and an image shimmered into existence above it, the black and white form of battle rider Rayzor Zero. While the hooded figure murmured, their voice echoing faintly like chimes in the wind. "Unexpected temporal displacement. He shouldn't be here. This is not his time, not yet." The figure lowered the staff, the image of Rayzor Zero fading. "This complicates things severely." The end.
Stronger than before. Battle Riders go! On the Coral Cove shore, darkness rising, a war like never before. Demon Lord Venus' will is cold and hard to bring the inferno, tear the world apart. A demon horde spills out a host of new threats. The only hope left is a team that never got the speed, he's got the heart, he's the core. Liam Walker, battle screams, fueling the fury to crush Vitus' dark schemes. They'll push the